Okay, for this tutorial, we're going to show how we are going to lay down a flooring detail. And it's going to be similar to the way we've done the wallpaper. If you remember looking at that video, we kind of pieced together the pattern in order to lay it over the wall in perspective. So we're going to be doing the same type of concept for the floor, but it's going to be a little different because unlike the wallpaper video where we placed the um, the perspective over the wall, here we're going to be doing the same concept with the floor, but we're going to be slipping that floor detail behind the drawing. So in order to get started, we're going to go to our pattern for the floor. And this is kind of the pattern here that we're going to be using for the wood floor. And as you can see, it's pretty much going to be laid down in this type of pattern. So, and much like we did with the wallpaper where we created those separate layers, if you remember correctly, we went into Photoshop to merge them into one group. And I already had this done already. So it's, if we look at the flooring here, we can see that it is one whole group. Oh, I need to select it first. Okay. And I'm sorry if my computer's a little slow. I do have a lot of background programs running at the same time. So um, here we can see the floor pattern is one group. And kind of like the same way we did the wallpaper, we're going to be able to skew this wood floor over the flooring material that is here. So again, if we remember, we go to our opacity here. We lower it so we can see what we're doing. And in a way, I think what I'm going to do is bring it up just a little more so I can see the pattern. And we're going to kind of skew it into place. So it's hard because the pattern's a little dark. Let me see if I could just maybe brighten it a little bit. It's a really dark pattern, so it's hard to really see these lines. But those lines in the wood should be in perspective as well. So what I'm going to do is just kind of lay it down here and then just edit, click on transform. We're going to skew and take the top corner and you're kind of going to make the pattern look flat. So the computer is running a little slow, but and I hope while I'm doing this you're not getting those black glitches in between. I know I've had several issues with that in the past, but as you can see, we're kind of just laying the floor down so it's within perspective of the rendering. And you're pulling the floor detail so that the lines in the drawing are in perspective with the rest of the drawing. So we're pulling it up. And one of the cool things about this is that you can see where you're going to have to erase or place the floor behind. But I'll show you how to do that in a second. I just want to get the floor covered with this as much as possible. And as you're stretching it, you can see the grooves in the floor. So it's just a little slow. I'm sorry about that, but mm, but this is all grouped in one piece here, so I'm just not sure why it's being so glitchy. Um, but you see how the line is going? We need that line to come a little more this way, and it's just trying to get the pattern straight within perspective. And it's a lot of pulling and tugging, but you want to do this while and I'm sorry if I'm being a little quiet here. I'm just trying to concentrate. But but this is why you want to really have your pattern as straight as possible. So that way you can pretty much um, skew it where it needs to be. And as you can see, the lines are starting to conform with the perspective. It's just, it takes a little patience. And normally I'm a lot faster with this. I just, okay, all right. The floor is a little tricky because you do have to make sure it looks flat. You don't want it to be. But you get the idea. It's pretty much just a lot of pulling and stretching until you can get it to be a little more. But I'm gonna play around with this a little bit so I'm not boring anybody. And once I get this pattern just straight, I'll show you what the next step is.